Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Donna Just Being Real. My channel is all about dating, love, relationships, and toxic relationship advice channel. Alright, we're going to get back into this pimple face monster. Alright, well, if everybody knows it, today was day 2 of the sentencing. Pimple Face Killer, Aiden Fucci, sentencing day 2 clips. Teen cheerleader murder. So anybody who's not familiar with this first time coming on here, make sure you read the description so it'll keep you, so you can understand exactly what's happening. Alright, so I'm going to be showing some clips today. Alright, and what you do is make sure you hit the like button, share your thoughts and opinions in the comment section. Also, share me out on the social media, and feel free to check out some of my past commentary. I have plenty of animations, all kind of crime stories, everything, and I use these different things, trials, crime stories, animations, teaching tools, to help people to know about toxic people, to date smart, and all that good stuff. And if you want to reach me, you find my email address in the description. Alright, so we're going to get into this. This is so sad. Yeah, so sad. Today, basically, there he goes. Don't he look just like him from Damien from Omen 2? This is Damien. It is. It really is. Alright, let me set this up real quick because I didn't do that one. Hold a second. Okay. Alright, so we're going to be watching some clips. And this... Alright, let me just greet the people that's in here real quick before I get into it. Alright, so Melvia is in here. I'm cooking dinner and I will be finished by then. Can't wait. Hugs and kisses to you, beautiful. And we also have Star Cat up here. Good evening to you and blessings to you. And Melvia said something again. He had the nerve to be rocking back and forth in the chair when grandmother was talking. Yeah, we're going to get into grandma clip. I just saw somebody get a chance to see all of it. But it seemed like she's a bit of an enabler. But we'll see. Y'all let me know. And then we got BG up here. Hello, everyone. Donna popping in and out really quick. Classy lady. And you too, classy lady too. And thank you for stopping by. And I'll tell you, these enablers, BG, I can't with them. And we have Lisa, my dear, up in here too. All right, so let's get into this one. All right, so this first clip I'm going to show you here. This first clip is sisters. So, the sister's going to, they speaking about, they hurt that they lost their sister through the hands of this monster right here. Yeah, he's a monster. Yes, he is. All right, so we're going to watch this first clip. Now, you know what we do. So today, yeah, I'm going to speed up the speed a bit. All right? Because quite a couple of clips we got to get through. So I'm going to speed this up to 1.5. Now, what you do on your end, if it's too fast for you, you can lower the speed. So make it on normal speed to the people that's here, to the replay watchers, so you can get it. But so far, I'm going to keep it at 1.5. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hit that like and let's get it.
And second oldest sister.
And just for the court's aware, he was just out of court in the order of that sibling.
So my oldest sister is Brittany Bailey. Again, I'm Alexis Bailey. I'm the second oldest sister, followed by my brother Tegan Bailey, Sophia Bailey, and then Tristyn was the youngest of the family.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
114.
Times that this monster stabbed this girl.
Of course. This jar now holds 114 stones, one for each of the 114 stab wounds that my sister had to endure. It was 1 hour and 42 minutes between when my sister was last seen and when Aiden Fucci was next seen, running out of the woods holding his shoes because his feet hurt. It's funny that such a simple statement can bring such anger. Aiden Fucci could show compassion for his sore feet, yet had nothing to leave for my beautiful sister. The number of questions I have for Aiden Fucci surrounding that night plague my mind. Did she see you coming at her?
I'm Goldie. This is my club. I run shit.
Or did you stab her while she wasn't paying attention? Did she scream out for help, or was she paralyzed with agony? Did she cry for my mother? Did she beg you to stop? Did you hear her lungs gargling with blood, or did you see it in her face when she realized she could no longer breathe due to her collapsed lungs?
All right, Star Cat, blessings to you, girl. What she says here. One of the things that really bothered me about Aiden's mom was that she's kept driving home how religious and godly the family was. Then how religious and godly the family was, to me, is a clue that she knew something was wrong with the kid. Oh, and what else did you say here? Yep. She enabled him. She's an enabler. I can't stand these enablers. Like I said, and I'll say it again. You can't help how your child turn out. You can raise them in the church house. You give them all the love and understanding. Keep them in a great neighborhood. And, just do everything. Bust your butt because you want your kids to have a better life. That's the goal of a mother and a father. But sometimes your kid just born bad. Nothing to do with you. But when you support it, yeah, that's when I have something to say. There's something wrong with you. Resume.
What were her last words? Did you stay to watch her die, or did you leave her there in agonizing pain as you ran away? How long did she suffer? Did you watch the life leave her eyes? Do you know the answer to any of these questions, or were you too caught up in the thrill of the kill? The last time I heard my sister's voice was May 8th, 2021. I have racked my brains trying to remember the last words she said to me. Was it I love you? Was it goodbye? Or did we say nothing at all? What I do remember is her walking out that door. I have nightmares about that moment. In my dreams, I try to reach out and grab her, beg her to spend the night, anything to prevent what happened just hours later, yet every time the door closes before I can get to her. The memories of May 9th will forever be ingrained in my mind, body, and soul. To know I was awake and only 11 minutes away from my sister as she was being brutally murdered. Could I have saved her? I remember the vivid feelings of my body collapsing on the ground as the police informed us that they had found a body. Then, finding out hours later it was Tristyn's body, I remember becoming physically ill and having a detective grip my hair as my body uncontrollably expelled everything from my stomach between my sobs. The pain I felt in every nerve as I watched my dad lying on the floor, screaming in a way no human should ever be able to produce. Our family broke that day, and I don't recognize any of us anymore. I have watched my parents going from believing that they were good parents to believing they were failures. I have listened to my parents question, what did we do wrong? What kind of mother or father was I not to protect my child? I have watched them overanalyze every conversation, every action, trying to figure out what they could have done differently. I've watched my older sister, Brittany, become unrecognizable with anger. I've watched my brother, Tegan, emotionally shut down and avoid the family due to the pain being home causes. I've watched my younger sister, Sophia, completely lose her childhood and be cast into the role of being a parent and being the resident therapist for my mother. I've seen the changes in myself, the responsibilities and burden that I have had to undertake because of the actions of Aiden Fucci. I am the one who had the responsibility of speaking with the funeral home and forcing my parents to decide which urn to put what remained of Tristyn in. I was the one who had to pick her up from the funeral home and make that long drive home with her ashes. I have what remains of her beautiful blonde hair, now stained red, sitting in my house haunting me daily. I have had to become the safe place for my parents and hold space for their feelings. I have had to commit every detail of Tristyn's murder to memory so that whenever someone has a question, they need only ask and not be burdened with looking up the answers themselves through the hundreds of pages of court documents and police records. I bear the thoughts that one day the trauma we have all been through because of the actions of Aiden Fucci will cost the lives of my other family members. I have been diagnosed with depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder. I have been unable to work at times during this process due to the trauma and PTSD attacks triggered by knives, blood, and open wounds. My relationships have suffered. My physical and mental health has diminished, and my goals for the future have seemingly disappeared. Aiden Fucci didn't just take Tristyn's life that day. He took everything from us. Our family, sense of security, laughs, health, and potential. For us, justice does not exist in this case, and closure does not exist in this case. Peace, understanding, and forgiveness will never come. The duty of this court today is to determine and weigh all the factors in this case, to decide the just sentence for the crimes Aiden Fucci committed, with retribution and potential rehabilitation sadly being considered. The only justifiable sentence in this case is a full life sentence. Anything short of that would be an insult to not only our justice system and community, but to our family and Tristyn's legacy. Lastly, I would like to add my own stone to the 114 that I added for Tristyn. This white stone represents my trust in people, which died the day that Aiden Fucci chose to kill my sister. Thank you.
Now, when she was putting the stones in there 114 times, that was a long time. And for someone to stab somebody like that, no, there's no helping him. And there's some more with another with the therapist, but we're gonna get to that one whenever we're gonna get into his personality. But this is so sad. All right, let's resume. There's more of this. I think another sister's gonna come up. So I'm just showing, highlight clips. All right, resume.
Thank you, Alexis. State we call Tegan Bailey.
Your Honor, on Saturday, May 8th, 2021, I came home to spend time with family and celebrate Mother's Day the following day. When I arrived home that afternoon, we quickly made plans to go to dinner. My dad, mom, Sophia, Tristyn, my niece, and I went to dinner. There wasn't a single sign that this would be our last night together, what I believe was Tristyn's last meal. Shy of my older sisters Brittany and Alexis being present, the dinner was perfect. My niece was playing with her food, trying to crawl under the table. We talked about when we lived in Singapore. My dad supplied ample comedy and smiles in a way that only siblings can. Tristyn and I silently made a pact and messed with Sophia during dinner, the way only siblings know how to do. It was perfectly imperfect. I would give anything to either stay at the table a few minutes longer or to have had Brittany and Alexis there as well. Following dinner, we visited Alexis and then went home. I went on a late walk with Sophia to reach my exercise goal for the day, which I talked with Tristyn about when we got back. Finally, Sophia, Tristyn, and I started to watch TV. I began to fall asleep on the couch until I finally excused myself to go to bed. Every single day, I can't help but wonder what would have happened had I slept on that couch instead, or if I had stayed up later. Tristyn was a 13-year-old. She had a personality brighter than fireworks, and she was being a teenager. But had I slept on that couch that was within earshot of our front door, there's a possibility my little sister could still be alive today.
Melanie done creeped through the back door. What Melanie had to say. Hello, chat, and hello to you, and good evening, chat fam, and Miss Donna. Not staying for the whole thing. I'm interested in the sentencing, however. Yeah, we're gonna. I'm not gonna do it today, but we're gonna get into the obsessed killer, since what he was found guilty. Oh, we're gonna get into that one another day. But thank you for stopping by, girl. All right, resume.
I've lived with that question, that weight, and that guilt since I went to wake up Tristyn on Mother's Day and found her room empty. The day we lost Tristyn, I began running mentally and emotionally to try to cope and survive. Anytime I slow down, every detail of that day, this court process, and the memories of Tristyn flood my mind and threaten to cripple me. So mentally, I put this all into a box and I run from it. I will run to school, to work, to friends, and at times I ran to alcohol. I was desperate for anything that would numb and convince me that this is not real life, rather a sick and cruel nightmare I can't seem to wake up from. This is real though. My baby sister, who always had a sassy reply ready, and a heart filled with kindness, is gone. The depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder is real. The weekly therapy sessions to learn how to cope and make it this far is real. The waves of anxiety I experience when I walk around Durban Crossing at night are real. Every time I see or use a knife, the intrusive thoughts of the damage that they can inflict is real. The nights where sleep is replaced with the heinous details of what Tristyn suffered are real. The nights where I drank to black out and put my The week-long depressive episodes where I break down and struggle to leave my bed are real. The classes I withdrew from because grieving and being a student was too much are real. The breakdowns that erupt from songs that remind me of Tristyn are real. Even things as small as a red cardinal bird will bring my day to a stop. There's an old wives' tale that when you see a red cardinal, it is someone from heaven checking on you. I can only hope that each one is a sign from Tristyn telling me she's still cheering me on. Yet they are each a painful reminder of what I have lost. They are each a reminder of how I feel as Tristyn. Despite countless reassurances, I continually weather by sleeping on that couch, being at home more, reaching out more, or a million other things if I may have been able to prevent her death. But no matter how much I may try to run, distract, or numb myself, this is my reality. A reality where Aqua and Teal fill me with pride, love, and pain. A reality where I am terrified and furious at other teenage boys because a single 14-year-old broke my family. A reality where instead of a cheer trophy, a family portrait, or a million other things, my sister's remains sit on a shelf at home in an aqua urn that glimmers brighter than a star. A reality that is so painful to live in, I continue to run and numb myself to it, trying to escape the pain and reminders of what I have lost. In the process of trying to numb myself and outrun this, I cause myself to lose even more. By not handling my grief head on, academically, I sacrificed a multitude of opportunities within my courses and with professors. Socially, I was alone. While I have an astounding support system where I live in Gainesville, Tristyn's story and her spirit are not as well known there as they are in St. John's. Few are able to understand the hardship of losing a family member, much less losing them to a gruesome homicide. I felt that I became a burden and disconnected from a multitude of people that I once treasured. Despite the fact that these were the very people trying to support me, emotionally I shut down every time I was asked, "How are you doing?" As there are no words to convey the misery that was born from my grief and my sense of isolation. I would like to address Mr. Aiden Fucci. Today I want to take the time to address whatever humanity you still possess. Since learning of your existence and the agony inflicted upon my family, I convinced myself you were something other than human. I refuse to use your name to believe that you were a regular person. To believe that you were human would be to accept that the darkness that has marked my family could come from ordinary people, something which causes me to lose all hope. So I convinced myself you must be something less than human and that people can still be good. But you are human. Between investigative evidence and individuals in St. John's community, my family and I have learned more about your life than we ever cared to know. Part of this included learning that you have siblings and a younger sister at that. I'm sorry, I lost my place. I have 4 sisters, 2 older and 2 younger sisters, including Tristyn. While you may have siblings, I don't believe you know what it means to be a brother. Having siblings is a job, a responsibility, and a privilege. Being a brother to sisters means being there to support them, to listen, to celebrate them, and to be there for them when they're in need, and so much more. You took one of my sisters away from me. I will not get drive her to cheer, listen to her spill the tea, celebrate her achievements, or spoil her with trips to Starbucks for a double chocolate chip grande frappuccino. If I ever have children, none of them will ever get to meet their aunt. I will never get to brag to others about Tristyn's determination and her persistence in pursuing her goals, because when Tristyn had a goal, she accomplished her goal. Because of your actions, I cannot fulfill my role as Tristyn's big brother. While I'm so fortunate to be blessed with 3 other amazing and unique sisters who inspire me and remind me of what life has to offer, you took away my baby sister. I want you to think of your own siblings, your own sister. Just as I have lost my sister, they have lost their brother. At the end of this, you will be in prison. They will not get to lean on you for support. You won't be able to celebrate with them or grow old with them. They have lost their brother. You have lost your siblings. You have failed as a brother. My siblings and I didn't just lose a sister. My parents lost a daughter. Tristyn's friends lost a goofball who brought a smile by walking into the room. The cheer community lost a teammate who was an unwavering pillar of spirit and perseverance. The world lost a young woman who, after binge watching Grey's Anatomy, became inspired to become a doctor. We lost the chance to see Tristyn graduate high school. We lost the chance to see Tristyn attend and graduate college. We lost the chance to see Tristyn find love and have her own family. Not only do we have to grieve Tristyn and her past, we have to grieve the person she did not have a chance to become and everything she never got to do or achieve. Since losing Tristyn, I've heard through countless conversations what can happen to her murderer. This court is able to impose between a 40-year sentence up to a life sentence. Several weeks ago, we sat in this building as the court reviewed a motion to limit autopsy photos to be shown during the trial, a trial which we fortunately did not have to go through. Among several things that came out during that hearing, I recall that there were 6 wounds that had been considered fatal. However, even in shy of these 6 wounds that my sister suffered, no one would have been able to survive the cumulative 108 other wounds. My sister was stabbed 114 times. 49 of those wounds were defensive. While some may view these as simple facts of the case, these are the thoughts that will plague the mind of Tristyn's community, friends, family, and myself for the rest of our lives. Tristyn's fought for her life, and my mind has tormented me since with all of the details of what she went through and what she must have felt. This is a burden we collectively have to carry for decades to come. In light of this, a life sentence for her murder seems nearly merciful. His wrongdoings reaped not only the remainder of Tristyn's life, but cursed the lives of countless others. Why should he be allowed to serve a single sentence while so many others must serve our own sentences because of their choices? If it were possible, I would plead the court to give a harsher sentence than light. But in the light of the current state of the law, I can only hope that he will be given the maximum sentence. I add this stone for the hope and belief I had in people being good that died the day that Aiden Fucci murdered my sister.
Your Honor, my name is Brittany Bailey Russell, and I'm Tristyn's oldest sibling. When I was told we had the opportunity to write an impact statement, I immediately got to work. Writing comes now.
All these kids are beautiful. This is a beautiful family. Look, this is an absolutely beautiful family. You monster. Destroyed this family like that. Mentally. You monster. And your mama too. Can't stand her. Look at her eyes. Evil. Alright, let's get back to it.
Natural to me, but I knew the importance the statement would hold, and I knew I needed more time than any piece I had written in the past. For months, I have attempted to put pen to paper to express the magnitude of this catastrophe we face every second of every day. Yet every time I met with complete writer's block. Not the kind of writer's block where you have nothing to say, but the kind of writer's block where you cannot find words impactful enough to describe the devastation this has caused on my family. Your Honor, I could stand up here today and tell you what little I can remember from May 9th, 2021, how I was on day 1 of my honeymoon with my husband and woke up to an alarming call from my sister Alexis saying, "Brace yourself. We can't find Tristyn. We're about to post it on social media." I could express the sense of darkness and terror I felt just being over 1,900 miles away from my panic-struck family.
Want to know what I want for Christmas?
Helpless that I could not search, comfort, or engage with my squad, as Tristyn would put it. I could even go into great detail about the blood-curdling and excruciating screams that ejected from my dad's lungs, the bottom of his lungs, while my husband and I sat on the other end of that FaceTime call, crumbling to the MGM hotel room floor, sobbing our eyes out, praying to God the news of where Tristyn wasn't our biggest fear. And if the court really wants to hear the most graphic of it all, I could tell you about the days to follow when I heard the fatal wail that bursted from my mom in the other room when Detective Hannon delivered the news to just my parents on how Tristyn died that Mother's Day. I wasn't even privy to the know at that point, but the crippling sound that my mom let out, I knew it was something unimaginable. I remember this torturous feeling that took over my body as I ran to the bathroom, slamming the door, banging both hands on the wall, screaming, "Why? How? How is this happening?" I didn't stop until my dad ran in, grabbed me, hugged me, and kept telling me, "Be brave for your mom. Do it for your mom." As later we learned, that friend Tristyn thought she had ambushed our youngest Bailey by stabbing her 114 times, over and over and over, to the point where we all know, she fought her fight and had nothing left in her body to give. And yet he continued, like an absolute coward. You, Aiden Fucci, decided to overpower a 5'3" innocent 13-year-old girl. How much more of a coward could you possibly be? Those feelings that took over my body that day, I could go my whole life without feeling again. I can promise you one thing, I do not ever want to be that brave in my lifetime yet. Here I am, standing in front of this courtroom, exposing my vulnerability, peeling back layers of my PTSD in this unsafe and very overwhelming environment. While I sit here publicly reliving tad bits of our worst nightmare, I recognize that none of these horrific memories will bring Tristyn back. It truly just pains me more to have to relive them, to talk about it, to feel those feelings all over again like it happened yesterday. What I can confidently express to the court is since my sister's murder, I agonize at the thought of leaving Florida for travel, something that was once engraved in my DNA. I lack prioritizing my husband, and I carelessly watch my marriage crumble before my eyes. I now carry emergency medication to control the unexpected tightening of the chest and inability to breathe, something doctors call post-traumatic stress disorder. I spend 2 hours every Sunday morning with my family therapist, a day that used to be Bailey Family Fun Day on Sunday. I struggle with mental health expenses and impulse buying in hopes to find control, something my husband and I were not financially prepared for. I've lost clients due to the inability to work. I rely on my vehicle as a safe place to release the uncontrollable rage that takes over my body. I fight my emotions in my own household in hopes my 4-year-old daughter doesn't try to console me, her mother, something no toddler should ever feel compelled to do. I find my husband more times than not peeling me up off our closet floor, drenched in my own tears. I've lost count of how many glasses I've shattered over the anger that's unbearable. I look at myself in the mirror and I don't recognize the person I am anymore. My weight, my happiness, my skin, my personality, my love for life, all gone. My sister was robbed of what could have been an incredible future. Imagine growing up in a household of 7, traveling the world for my dad's job, relying on each other as best friends because we only had each other during all of those moves, meeting friends who became family across the globe, and having the most loving and supporting parents you could ever ask for. Just for perspective, I'm a hairstylist, and my parents opened a salon in St. Johns County. Alexis has a passion for animals, and my parents openly allowed her zoo to live under their roof. Tegan's draw to coffee and books at University of Florida enticed him to continue on to grad school, which my parents could not be more proud of. Sophia, our lacrosse all-star, was just accepted to Colorado Mesa University to play goalie, and once again, my parents could not be more on board, even though this means there are 2 flights between their child and them. And as for Tristyn, cheerleading was her life, and because it was her life, it was my mom's life too. My parents have sacrificed their needs and wants for their children for 30 years. I've never met such selfless people. And to think one of the 5 of us won't get to see that fully through, Your Honor, I can't put a word to it. Agony isn't painful enough. Shattered to the core doesn't crumble like how I feel. Infuriated doesn't even come close to touching the amount of rage I find myself trapped in. And let me tell you, justice is just a word for comfort. It doesn't bring her back. It doesn't allow her to see if she would have made worlds or become a college cheerleader. It does nothing but put this inhumane, cold-blooded killer away for good. I ask you to remember how much my sister lost and will continue to lose as the years pass by because of one vile decision this ruthless, unremorseful villain made. His apology was a waste of oxygen and meant nothing. It was cold, it was callous, and it was disheartening, and it left my family feeling absolutely tormented. Once again, a word not pungent enough to express the degree of what we felt, but it's the best the dictionary could offer. In Tristyn's name, I will fight till the end to make sure my children, my siblings, my family, and our community will never see Aiden Fucci in society again. I respectfully ask for you to do the same. This white stone represents my loss in faith in our school systems to keep violent children away from the innocent.
Okay, I'm going to show another clip. Just give me a second so I can set it up. You know, Damien, the devil's child. All right, let me set up the other clip here. Okay, I'm going to show the clip with the father. The father. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now this clip here, we're going to hear what the father has to say. Then afterwards, I'll show the mother, and I'll show Grandma, Aiden Fucci's grandma. All right, let's get it.
Good morning.
And we've heard a lot about the family impact this morning. If you would, just before you start your letter, kind of talk to the court about some of the acts of kindness and things that the community has done, you know, in reaction to the loss and the sympathy that everybody feels for your family. Just you could summarize just some of the wonderful things that have been done.
Yeah, no, certainly. And thank you for the chance to do so. You know, it's every day. I was out walking the dog this morning, and a neighbor driving out of the neighborhood stopped and let me know that they were praying for us. And that's the type of community we live in St. John's. You know, I think it was immediate, as was shared. You know, we put out the notice. It was on social media, and I mean, Mother's Day. There were families all over the place that dropped all of their plans, and they went out and they were looking. You know, and you heard in some of the statements immediately after.
BG, I was watching some of the psychological evaluation he had. Oh my gosh, this man he's a monster. He was born evil. But I want to save that focus on a whole, you know, live stream on just that one. So I'm going to do that over the weekend. But tomorrow I want to do the obsessed stalker. So I'll do that tomorrow. And then probably Sunday focus on the, you know, his evaluation, this Pimple Face Killer. But yeah, I learned a lot after hearing that one. Oh boy. Okay, resume, ladies and gentlemen. And everybody who's here, make sure you hit the like, share it on your social media, and glad to have you. And the people in the bushes, blessings to you too. Resume.
That week, there was a huge vigil in Durbin Crossing the next day. The cheer gyms that she had participated in held vigils. There was a vigil, you know, a year after. A number of different sports programs have actually created awards to recognize the type of teammate that she was. You know, the businesses in the area have been phenomenal. They've, you know, provided my family with a safe place to go after we had funerals, the celebration of life, you know, and the way that Celebration Church gave us that, and even local media in the way that they streamed it, because there were so many people that wanted to go, and giving space for really the teammates in the community to be there. So, you know, those things have happened, and those are the big events. I think the smaller things are the day-to-day. You know, there's a lot of people that still have bows on their homes to represent their support silently. We have people that have, you know, painted rocks, put rocks all over the world. There's just so much really good things that the community has done to keep her name and to make sure she's not forgotten. I actually have two. So the first is, you know, to Mr. Fucci. February 6th, you finally admitted to your guilt in murdering my daughter, Tristyn. After you clearly sat in this room and agreed to all of the questions and statements that were read by the judge and admitted that you knew what you were pleading to. At the end of that, you turned around, or you didn't even turn around, you made an apology. I want to be clear, saying that your insincere apology is not accepted. In no part did I sense any glimmer of any true remorse felt in your apology. Without question, I know that statement was for some self-serving purpose that you have. During all of the proceedings in which we've been present, including these past couple days, at no point in time have I seen anything from you that is any type of remorse. I loathe your very existence and know that there is nothing within you that reflects the smallest amount of goodness or human decency. Your Honor, Judge Smith, I know there's a lot of us, and I know you've had to listen to quite a bit. Foremost, I would like to appreciate the fact that you've taken the time to let us all speak, as well as the time that you're taking in reviewing the statements. The other thing is, I understand that defendants have a right to waive a speedy trial, but I appreciate the fact that you've tried to keep this trial moving, because this is a necessary step for us to get through so that we can move on as a family as well. I'd like to think that for each of us that have presented or submitted impact statements to you, that's going to give us strength in the days to come as we continue to deal with the loss. I think that you've also heard many different aspects of Tristyn when she was 13.
Starcat, yeah, I feel a lot of it has to do with rejection. And these kids he was doing drugs. Oh, let me not get into it. We'll say that for over the weekend. And did someone just creep through this back door? Did my diva just creep up in here? Raining woman. Hey, beautiful. Greetings, Donna and chat. Love you, girl. Good to see you. Hope all is well on your end. Hope all is well on your end. Let me see something Melanie said. Melanie said, real quick, maybe if the parents or the school were plugged in and paying attention, he could have been committed before an innocent girl was taken. I agree. We're going to get into this one over the weekend. Oh, I hope y'all if you can't, you can always watch the replay. But yeah. All right, resume.
Hearing from Bree yesterday, you recognize hopefully the type of teammate and the impact that she had and what she did with others. I'm sure that from Susan's comments, you can tell that she was the type of classmate and had an impact and helped people that needed that help, and in those difficult middle school hallways was a smiling and welcoming face. What likely resounded with you even more were the impacts from Tristyn's friends, both the adults and her contemporaries. She was an incredible person who was comfortable in her own skin and helped people find comfort within their own. The world is in short supply of people like that, and Tristyn was needed. I want to step back and talk to you from the family's perspective once again. A little background on me: I am very proud to be the son of Glenn and Lorraine Bailey. My aunts and uncles and cousins created such an incredible experience in my growing up. My dad was the fifth of 8 children, and seeing the dynamic they had, I knew that was something I hoped for in my life, a large family. When Stacy and I met, she likely had no idea what she was getting into as an only child, yet no one could have been better as the role model of being a phenomenal mother to a large family. We were sure to tell each of our kids that a sibling can be a gift like none other. The relationship is so incredibly unique. I am so blessed to have children that treasure one another as well as mine do. I know you heard this from each of them that spoke today. Yet my daughter Sophia was not ready to do so, which I completely understand. It is an impossible task to ask her to summarize the loss of her sister. They had the most unique relationship. While so much has been shared on how Tristyn encouraged others, Sophia likely was Tristyn's biggest supporter and fueled her confidence. Sophia was always looking and taking care of Tristyn. Sophia's biggest impact of losing Tristyn will lie in the days and years to come. Sadly, I know the tremendous loss that they will have to bear in losing a sibling, as I lost my brother January 13th, 2001. He is with me constantly, and the regret and unfulfilled plans we had together. Since Tristyn was taken with us, I have not been able to look in on my parents as I should. Just as it haunts me what my children are going to endure with the loss of their sister, so often our calls with my parents and with them trying to figure out any way that they can help, anything that they can do, yet they know that from the loss of my brother, I will carry Tristyn's loss with me always. Within our family, Stacy does an impeccable job of dealing with the critical items that come in on the day-to-day. Oftentimes I'm brought in to deal with some of the bigger problems and find our path forward. I've always been able to fulfill that role until
Rainy Woman been rocking me for a very long time, and I've been rocking with her. So I'm gonna give you just a brief. You might have came to one of them, one of these when I did the topic. Basically, this young girl right here. Just real quick here. Where she goes. This young girl right here, 2 years ago. This Mother's Day is gonna make 2 years ago. This monster right here killed her. She actually, I think if I'm correct, she snuck out the house in the middle of the night. She went over to go and see him at a friend's house. They ended up walking. Yeah, you did see that. You remember that clip? And you said a comment about him running, and it was the black and white, and he was running. Well, he killed this girl. He killed this girl. Stabbed up over 114 times and left her. And her body was, this was on Mother's Day. So He's supposed to be going to trial. He was getting ready to get a jury together, but he decided to turn around and say that he's guilty. So right now, today is day 2 of the sentencing. So who you watching and speaking right now is the father of this beautiful young lady that died. 14 years old. This boy is a monster. So I'm going to really focus more on the weekend what the therapist, the psychologist, had to say about his personality. But that'll be over the weekend. All right. Let's get it. Resume.
Now, there are no solutions. There's just trying to move forward and carry her with us. During so many hard times, the advice to just breathe or realize that this too shall pass is appropriate. This will not pass. I can't even answer with certainty on how we'll continue to handle all the counseling and related bills that are some of the concerns, as we've had well in excess of $36,000 just in counseling related bills. You heard from one of her friends who keeps texting her cell phone. We still pay her cell phone every month because she has a lot of friends that are still sending messages to her.
Don't buy solar panels. Seriously, there is a very...
Throughout our married life, I've been able to look Stacy in the eye and assure her through any difficult time that everything will be all right, and it has. With respect to Tristyn, I can't do that. It is all well known within my family that Stacy loves the early years with the kids. For me, it's always been that the older they get, the more they come to me. Yes, I love teenagers. Tristyn and I would have some of the best conversations on the ride home from practice. Her view of the world was fascinating. She had such a keen focus on seeing the best within people. She also appreciated the importance of everything you have to invest on the path to your goals. You see, it wasn't just about the competitions. She loved practice. While she talked to being a doctor, the concepts she was learning were more important in our talks than the grades. The continued expansion of our relationship with our time together has been obliterated. Stacy and I feel directionless. We are so far behind on so many things in life, from the trivial to the important. Even our life path, such as when I will retire, is in complete disarray when the baby is taken from the family. I always figured when she graduated from college, Stacy and I could enjoy travels and looking in on our family wherever life took them. Now I just don't know. Just don't know about so many things. I've lost my sense of self. A good friend of mine who lost their son described feeling like a zombie. It is a description that has stuck with me, as that is what I feel like. Going through the motions, hoping that you get everything right. Even when you get assurances that you are, you just doubt it. Despite what anyone says, when you lose a child, your life becomes ongoing questions of doubt. The grief will not go away. Tristyn's birthday every January 18th is going to hurt. Every Mother's Day, that sacred family day, will have its painful moments. Every May 9th will hurt to remember what happened to our Tristyn. The anniversary dates are always difficult.
Every Mother's Day, it's going to hurt. And her birthday. You piece of crap, you low life, you scum, you and your mama. Resume.
As you know from the way too many parents that you've spoke to in your courtroom, the pain and triggers happen every day. Every day upon waking up is a cruel reminder that she is gone. Within our family, we had our tradition of Bailey Family Fun Day. No event in the world it was as dear to me as our family dinners, and everyone would make it there on Sunday. Every Sunday is filled with hurt as the day she was ripped from us. It hurts us to the core to sit in my chair at the head of the table and have our baby not in her chair, but in an urn sitting on a shelf in front of me. My dreams of enjoying the big family reunions similar to those I grew up with have been stolen from us. As I said before, every family holiday we know Tristyn should be there with us. Everything has that cast of what if over it. I am so proud of the resiliency and strength that my children have had since that day. Each of them have managed to have incredible accomplishments while going through this grieving process. It's difficult because it hurts to feel good without her here. And they have just been so incredible in continuing to move forward and carrying her with them. It's emotionally exhaustive to not allow the grief to overcome the positive. Your Honor, I'm hoping that you can see that he impacted all 7 of us for life. I would also remind you of the testimony from the medical examiner that he essentially killed Tristyn 7 times. 6 stabs that in and of themselves were lethal. The other 108 cumulative would have been lethal. From what Alexis and Stacy shared, you can only begin to imagine how the pain he put her through stays with us. Your Honor, we cannot turn back the hands of time so that we can have a different outcome. We cannot bring my Tristyn back. We cannot even be certain that the sentence you give on Friday will not be impacted as part of the 25-year review process. Yet you can deliver justice for our community. He took Tristyn's life. He impacted all Tristyn's family for life. You've heard how he shattered the innocence of childhood so many in our wonderful community for their life and the lives of their children. He even damaged the sanctity of Mother's Day for so many for their lives. Please, Your Honor, take this into consideration when you have to make your decision. Lastly, I want to place this rock, and this rock represents the loss to our family and the world for all of the good Tristyn would have done. Thank you for your time.
She looked just like her daddy. Looked just like her daddy. Okay, I'm gonna show another clip. We're gonna get into what the mother has to say. Can't stand him. Okay, let me play some music. Listen to music while I set this up. Give me just a second. Okay, this is the beautiful young lady that died. This is her mother, and we're gonna hear what the mother has to say. So sad. All right, let's get it.
Whenever you're ready, Miss Bailey.
Your Honor, I am Stacey Bailey. I am Tristyn Bailey's mother, or as her friends called her, T. Not many know what Forrest and I faced during our pregnancy with Tristyn. We were moving to another country, Singapore, when I found out I was expecting another child. To say the least, it was a surprise as we thought we were done after having 4 children. I was terrified to be pregnant in a foreign country, but soon found myself with amazing medical care. I was put into a high-risk category, and I had a high-risk doctor because we were told that Tristyn potentially had Down syndrome. And then it got worse from there as they found a spot or potentially a hole in her heart. We faced every day wondering if she would be okay. The fear was constant, which was incredibly difficult on my family. We prayed every day that she would be okay. But never once did we ever question that she was wanted and loved no matter what. Our prayers were answered when she came into this world with no signs of a spot on her heart, and she did not have Down syndrome. In time, we learned that Tristyn's heart was stronger than most, and it would be a gift that she would share with the world. We soon learned that she was a child that needed to be front and center from day one. Tristyn had she was incredibly loud from the get-go. She never really cried. It was more like a scream, ear-piercing at times. Growing up in Singapore for the first 4 years of her life was amazing. Her siblings and her had an incredibly close bond. But she had a bond with me that was unbreakable. Forrest used to say, "Nobody else seems to matter except for you, Stacey." She was always a very social child.
Building your online business?
Always striving to do the best in every aspect of her life. She joined the cheer world at a very young age and pushed herself to be the best that she could be while always encouraging others. At school, she had excellent grades and had many friends. One of the things that stood out to me the most was how she fiercely protected others from
I'm sorry I didn't pick up the speed. Okay, I'm going to speed up. It's going to be on 1.5, ladies and gentlemen. And like I said, if it's too fast for you, you can lower the speed on your end. Okay, because it's kind of long, so I have to do it on the faster speed. So I don't want to keep you all here all night. All right, resume. And this is the mother of Tristyn Bailey, the one that was killed by this pimple face monster right here. The pimple face monster that you see on the left. His name is Aiden Fucci. You piece of crap, you low life. Reasonable.
From being bullied. Tristyn truly had a heart of gold. For me, I have always loved being a mother and vowed endlessly to love, teach, and protect my children. I spent so many weeks traveling with Tristyn for cheer. Over the years, I was lucky enough to have a lot of one-on-one time with her. During these times, we would have conversations about friends, school, the good, the bad. I will never forget conversations about one boy in particular who was always getting in trouble in her class for years. I always ended the conversation with, just be kind to him. He probably needs friends. He probably doesn't have many. Little did I know that she did that over the years. At Tristyn's celebration of life, a boy waited in a long line of people to speak with me. To be honest with you, he's the only thing I really remember from that day. Everything else are just brief flashes of memories. He waited for so long to speak with me, and the tears poured out of his face. His words still resonate with me to today. He said, "She was my best friend. She was my only friend." I spent more than a month trying to figure out who this boy was. It turned out to be the same boy that we had talked about so often. At that moment, I knew just how extra special my daughter was and how she truly learned a valuable lesson of just be kind. I will treasure these moments and lessons taught for the rest of my life. I, however, failed in one lesson. I did not know that I needed to teach Tristyn to be afraid of the evil in her own school, to be cautious and fearful of the people you think are your friends. Aiden Fucci, you betrayed us all. I have seen the traumatic impact of Aiden's horrific actions and how they have affected all that knew and loved Tristyn. I have watched her friends become afraid to go to school and fearful of who they could and could not trust. I have watched the depression, the PTSD, the anxiety take over so many. Worse than anything, some of these feelings go so deep that several kids have tried to take their own lives from this incident. I carry the weight of this on my shoulders every single day. The guilt eats away at me. While I know it is not my weight to bear, it doesn't change the fact that I feel this. I feel that I have to protect and be there for each of her friends to let them know how much they mean to me. Aiden Fucci has destroyed so many lives by his vicious choice to take my child's life. I want to bring you to the weekend of Mother's Day, May 9th, 2021. It was Friday night, and we were preparing for an event at our business. Tristyn came to me asking me if she could.
I haven't worn a bra since I got this.
I've been using because all of her friends were going from school. I immediately said no because of our work event, and I could not go with her. You see, she had only gone one other time, and I was not willing to let her go without supervision. She begged to go with one of her friends that I had not met, but said that I could meet her parents as they would be watching over her. I agreed that if I met the parents and felt comfortable, I would consider letting her go. I drove to her friend's house, I met the mom, and we agreed that the girls could go as the dad would be taking them and bringing Tristyn home too. It was reassuring to meet another family who had the same parenting style as us. This night is where the weekend starts to crumble in hindsight. You see, Your Honor, many kids that night planned to sneak out, not thinking anything could go wrong. They just thought they were going to be having fun and hanging out together. Saturday night arrives. It was just a normal day around our house. I can remember Sophia and Tristyn planning what they were going to be making me for a surprise breakfast that next day, Mother's Day. They asked me to stay in my room until it was ready. Later that day, we went to dinner, and then we went to see our daughter Alexis and her new litter of Sphinx kittens. We didn't stay long because we were all tired. How I wish I had never gone to bed and stayed up longer. The next morning, Sophia prepared breakfast by herself, as Tristyn never came down to help. Needless to say, my Mother's Day morning was soon filled with panic as my son informed us that Tristyn was not in her room as he went to tell her it was time for breakfast. I thought to myself, this can't be. She must be in the bathroom or her sister's room. I immediately ran upstairs to indeed find she was gone. We all frantically were yelling for her and running through the house with no reply from our precious daughter. Forrest yelled for me to call the police, and this is where our nightmare went into full force. My heart was pounding with every second that passed, pleading with the police to help me. We soon found ourselves calling our friends on the phone, using social media, and yelling in the streets for anyone to help us. How could this be? This crazy thing of social media is there is always a trail, and we knew within an hour who Tristyn was last with. I thank God for that trail, even though I find some of social media to be the bane of my existence. The minutes turned into hours of not knowing where our daughter was. I called her phone, as so many did, for it just to go to voicemail. Everything that happened that day is a blur. I do know that there were so many people trying to help find our daughter. Our community was there for us and completely put their Mother's Day plans aside. At some point around 2 o'clock in the afternoon is when my mother saw a dragonfly. And she said to me, "Stacy, look, it's good luck. They're gonna find her." Unfortunately, I shoved my mother as hard as I could and started yelling at her. Because in that moment, I knew my child was not coming home. I tried desperately to apologize for pushing her, but it was such an uncontrollable moment. You see, when my father passed away, I was surrounded by dragonflies, and it has soon become a symbol of my guardian angel. 4 more agonizing hours passed before I found myself sitting in our home with family and several detectives. We waited for the news that we could have never been prepared for, pleading to God to not let this happen to my family and to not take our baby girl away from us. I cannot tell you all the details of what happened when we went inside, as my brain has hidden them in my memory somewhere deep inside. I have very few memories of that day. Your Honor, what I'd like to do is share one night from a recent journal of mine this past month. It's 1:05 a.m. My eyes pop open in fear, and I try to orient myself as to where I am or if I am safe. I walk myself from the couch to my bedroom and try to get some more sleep. It's 2:05 a.m. Again, startled awake. It's 3 a.m. I'm startled awake again, as I am every night, multiple times a night. My head is pounding in pain. My thoughts are racing. My anxiety is high. My chest is tight. The thoughts immediately start. The time tells me that it's over. Tristyn lost her life by now. Visions flood my head, how terrified she must have been. What went wrong in that moment of betrayal from someone she thought was her friend? Did she know it was coming? Did you wait for her back to be turned? The first strike of the knife, the fearful shock she must have had. The second strike. What is happening? I can only imagine she tries desperately to fight him off. Why is this happening? He continues to strike over and over and over as she continues to fight. My chest pain grows tighter, and the tears are now flowing. Was she screaming for help? Did she try to reach for her phone to call for help? Tristyn's desperation to live and get away from him continues until he overpowers my child. He continues stabbing her even when there is no fight left. These visions are embedded in my mind. Her beautiful blonde hair, her smile, her irresistible laughter have all been snuffed out. The guilt I have that I was not there to protect Tristyn plagues me. My thoughts continue and I cannot get it out of my head about the pain Tristyn felt. I think about how one small slip of a knife I caught my finger while cutting fruit, and it hurt so much that I almost fainted. I pray she passed out. But honestly, with the amount of defense wounds, I know she did not. She fought, and our beautiful daughter suffered for so long as he took no mercy in the 114 times you stabbed her. My heart is pounding so hard now, I think it could come out of my chest. Oh my God, please tell me this is a bad dream. Tell me that I will wake up from this horrific nightmare. The pins and needles have started in my head. The trauma migraine is here. They always come. I beg and plead with myself to just stop thinking for 5 minutes so that the pain goes away. It only increases until sharp stabbing pains take over my head, which can bring me to my knees and screaming in pain. This is my new normal, every day, all day. My new life, sentenced to the torture of my child being murdered. Please stop thinking, just go to bed, just for a few moments to relieve the pain. It's now 3:46.
Grandpa, we're not.
Close my eyes, but it only lasts for a brief moment as the fear is overwhelming. The darkness scares me. What is waiting to harm me out there? Will I ever have peace? No. How can I without Tristyn? It's 4:15 a.m. Sirens are going off that send me running to the living room only to find out it was on the TV. The panic is now starting to elevate to the point I can't control my anxiety. Images race through my mind of the helicopters, the police sirens, the bloodhounds, and worst of all, the police asking me to come in my house. I remember falling to my knees, begging them not to make me go inside. I knew that meant she was never coming home at that horrific moment. The darkness of the night surrounds me, and I live in constant fear of what might harm the rest of my family. A memory flashes and enters my mind as Detective Hannah knocked on my door at 3:40 in the morning that night to let us know that an arrest had been made. God, please make this stop. Wake me up from this nightmare. I want to run and find Tristyn, but then I am met with the reality she is gone. Am I losing my mind? This cannot be real. I question God. Why, oh why, did you not protect her? How could you let evil touch her? Why, God, why? This is my sleep pattern every single night for 97 weeks. Sleep deprivation at its finest. The sleep deprivation is taking a toll on me mentally and physically.
You can hear the hurt in her. She's hurting. She lost her baby. And on Mother's Day. And in a horrific way. They had to cremate her. That many stab wounds. They couldn't have a casket for her. Monster. You low-life piece of crap. This is what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. This is another situation. Mommy and Daddy laid down, and they had Satan Jr. And this is him, Satan Jr., Aiden Fucci, Pimple Face Killer. Instead of killing somebody, you should ask your mother for some proactive. You incel. Resume.
I do not recognize the person looking at me in the mirror. How I wish it was someone else. The sleepless nights bring black circles under my eyes, and the swelling from the constant tear and the stress have aged me beyond my years. I have memory loss, and I live in constant brain fog. Trying to put complete thoughts together can be very challenging. I now suffer from pins and needles in my head many times a day, along with chronic migraines. My hair is breaking and falling out due to all of this stress and anxiety. The PTSD from Mother's Day has had many impacts. I run into my house at the first sign of a helicopter or sirens, and I now have a genuine fear of being outside in the dark. I check my children's location multiple times a day just to know that they are where they are in case something happens to them. Seeing police cars can send me into a panic, thinking that something is terribly wrong. The depression can be debilitating at times, and I feel like my life has spun out of control. My home, which was once where we all gathered in comfort, is now a place of hurt that Tristyn is no longer there. The door to her room remains closed. It is exactly as she left it. Her bed is unmade. Her bath towel she used on May 8th is at the foot of her bed. The suitcase is still packed from the weekend before when we attended Summit with Infinity All-Star Cheer. I can't bear to change one thing, not even washing her clothes in the hamper, as it would wash away the scent of her. Many times I find our cat, who knows how to open Tristyn's door, in her room as if she's just waiting for her to return. I do not know if we will ever have comfort in our home again. My children were once full of life and laughter, and now they are full of despair, anger, depression, PTSD, and anxiety. Bailey Family Fun Day was every Sunday in our home, a day where we would all come together and have a meal and spend time together. Sunday will never be the same for us, as we have a missing link in our family. The Sunday of May 9th, 2021 has made us dread every Sunday. How will it ever be whole again? Aiden Fucci, you have destroyed me. You have destroyed my family. You have destroyed Tristyn's friends. You have destroyed the community that we live in. You have caused a divide amongst friends and neighbors that should have never been. You have taken away my baby girl, my past, my present, my future by your calculated, vile actions. I will never be able to watch her perform on stage with her cheer team. I will never see her win Summit or Worlds. I will never have our special weekends away, just the two of us. She will not be able to graduate high school or college. And her father will never be able to walk her down the aisle at her wedding. You have taken this all away from us. I will never understand the heinous choice you made that day, or why my kind daughter was the one that you chose. I will spend the rest of my life grieving our beautiful daughter, longing to hear her voice and hold her in my arms. Aiden Fucci, your deplorable actions are unforgivable, and I will pray every day that you stay in prison for the rest of your life and never be able to harm anyone else in this world again. Your Honor, I plead with you. Please consider everything that he has done to our daughter and to our family. Aiden Fucci made a heinous decision on May 9th, 2021, and took the very life that I brought into this world. Please do not for 1 second think that he could be rehabilitated at any point. He is beyond saving. He should have to pay for his crime against my daughter. Justice is an empty word for our family, as it can never bring Tristyn back, but justice is for society. And he should have life without parole. Thank you for everything that you've done in this case, and I know that you have really hard choices in front of you. I'm going to be placing 2 rocks into this. This rock, this white stone, is for her sister, Sophia, who will never have the opportunity to be a big sister again, and you stole that from her. This last one is for me. And it represents everything that you have stolen from me. My words, my joy, my hope, my future, and my beautiful daughter.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get into, it'll be the last clip I'm going to show. Okay, just listen to the music a second while I set this up. Okay. Sorry there. This clip I'm going to show you, this is Aiden Fucci's grandma. Teen killer is grandma begs judge not to lock up Aiden Fucci forever. Are you kidding me? Look at her. She's like an ex-heroin user, right? Doesn't she look like it? That's my opinion. That's what I think. All right, let's get into hear what she has to say. Resume. And like I said, the speed is on 1.5. If it's too fast for anybody, you can slow it down on your end. The people that's here and the replay watchers. Let's get it. And make sure everybody hit that like and feel free to engage. And the people in the bushes, thank you for being here. Let's get it.
Debbie. Sorry. Debbie.
In your full name?
Deborah Spiewak.
All right. And where do you live?
Live Oak.
And how many children do you have?
I have 4 children.
And how many grandchildren?
12.
Debbie, how do you know Aiden?
He's my grandson.
And how long have you known him?
Since he was born.
And how often would you see Aiden over the years?
All the time.
And when you say all the time, how is that?
I mean, we're always together. We're a big family. We do everything together. We're always together. I stayed with them too because I work here in Jacksonville, so it saved me a drive to not have to drive home all the time. So I would stay with my daughter and her family.
So a lot of dinners and breakfasts, you would see Aiden?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Okay. Who did Aiden live with?
Primary with his mom, but his dad and his mom shared custody.
So how often would he spend days or weekends with his father?
They alternate. I think his dad got him Tuesday and Thursdays and every other weekend, so that's how they worked it. They were really adamant on having their days. Nobody wanted to miss their time.
Okay. Both parents wanted to spend time with him?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And how many brothers, or how many children does, sorry, Aiden's your grandson by your daughter?
Yes.
Okay. And how many children does she have?
She has 5.
Okay. And where is Aiden in that group of 5 children?
He's in the middle.
Now, did the 5 kids get along?
Yeah, they get along just like normal kids. Yeah, I've never seen any fighting or arguing or any problems at all. It was a pretty happy home.
Okay. How would you describe Aiden in that home with the other 5 kids?
Aiden's always been silly and funny and the jokester of the kids. He was always happy. Every picture I have, he smiles. I don't know what happened.
Now, what's
Meet the world's first self-warming baby bottle.
like?
Oh, she's a good person. She's good-hearted and kind and sweet and, she's my daughter. I love her.
And his father? What's Aiden's father like?
He's a good man. He's always been in their lives, and you don't see that often. And when people split up, there's always one that stays out of their life, but he's always stayed in his son's life from the beginning.
Now, what holidays would you share with Aiden?
All of them, and especially birthdays, because my youngest daughter, their birthdays were like a few days apart, and so we always celebrate them together.
Meaning Aiden and your daughter?
Yes, my youngest daughter.
All right. And would sometimes those celebrations be at your daughter's home and sometimes in Live
A
Oak?
lot of times on my property because, it's country, they like to ride the four-wheelers and go to springs and river, and it was just, I have a lot of family out there, and, everybody kind of came together there.
So where do the kids spend the summer?
Well, some in Jacksonville and some out there with me. They like to, like I said, they like the country. They like being out there. It's just more peaceful out there and happy, and just the four-wheelers. Kids love four-wheelers, and we go to springs a lot in the summer, and cookouts and bonfires, and we hit Itch-Tuck-Me a lot. And what was the other part of that question? Sorry.
So in the summer, now sometimes would Aiden come with you and the family? Was there any other activities, say the Bible camps in the summer?
Yeah, they like to come. We have vacation Bible school once, every summer, so him and his older sibling would come for that. And they like to go to the church with me, and church always had little events and activities, so they'd come do that with me too.
Okay. Now, Tristyn, Aiden's responsible for taking Tristyn's life on Sunday, May 9th. But what was the plan for the night before, that Saturday night for Aiden?
Well, he was supposed to go with his cousins because they were going to spend the night at my other daughter's house. And so the boys were supposed to come pick them up, and they picked up his older brother, but he wasn't there yet. I guess he was still with his friends. So he had called them to please come back and pick me up, but they said they didn't have any gas. So that's why he never made it over there. And then, I guess, this happened.
So that night the plan was for Aiden and his brother to go out with some cousins?
Yeah, they were going to spend the night over there at my other daughter's house.
Okay.
And his oldest brother made it, but he wasn't there yet. They said he was still with his friends, and they didn't want to wait around. So when he had called them to come back and pick him up, they said they didn't have gas money. And so he ended up staying home.
So there wasn't enough gas money to come back and get Aiden?
Right, that's what they said.
Now, what mental illness do you know of in your family?
Well, the only thing I've experienced with any of that was, my son goes through a lot of depression. He still does. He always has, even since he was a teenager. My ex, which is my kid's dad, has a lot of mental issues. He has things going on. He still has things going on. He's in and out of jail. So, but I left him when my kids were real little, so I didn't want to put them through any kind of stuff like that.
So your son Aiden's uncle, when was he first Baker acted? Or how old was
He
he?
was like 14.
Right. So his first Baker Act, he was 14.
Right, he started getting a little bit of trouble, but, we pulled through it, I mean, counseling and help, we pulled through it, but he's still depressed, he has his moments, he falls,
So you understand what Aiden's here for?
yes.
All right.
Sometimes.
Is that the boy you knew?
He's not the boy I knew, I don't know what happened, I mean, he's always been good, I'm so sorry. I just need one moment with you. Wow, this is so hard. I'm so sorry.
Okay, she said in here that, I don't know if she said it yet, but I know she did say it, that she spent a lot of time at her daughter's house. She stayed over a lot because I believe wherever she worked at, she had to travel. You didn't notice those pictures in his room? Those sick, twisted pictures? You didn't see any signs. You're really surprised, huh? Everybody's surprised about good old Pimple Face. Find it hard to believe. I'm just saying. These are all my thoughts and opinions, ladies and gentlemen. All right, and the people in the bushes, welcome. People that's coming in here, welcome. Make sure you hit the like. Resume.
He has a good family, and we don't condone what happened, and we're very sorry for your loss. He's always been such a good kid, and I don't even know where that came from. I mean, he doesn't have any bad in his family or around him, or I don't know. I can't explain. I just don't know.
Now, in terms of...
Well, Grandma, what the therapist said, he used to get in fights. He got suspended, he was a little bit out of control. So what do you mean he was always a good kid? Your daughter didn't share that with you? You slept over the house all the time, so you didn't hear about him being suspended? He was a problem child in school? Yep. Really. Resume.
Aiden around the family, that included hamsters, animals. Was he ever harmful to any of the pets?
No, I mean, we all have animals, and no, he's never been mean any animals.
And then there's younger siblings, so he's got a little sister.
Yeah.
How did he interact with her?
Exactly. Grandma, you knew the signs. Why not talk to your daughter about her son? Exactly. She's going to sit up here like, oh, he was such a great child. He was no problem. He was this and that. I just don't understand what happened. I don't understand. I'm just totally shocked. Detectives came in. They found all kind of stuff. And the therapist and his school records. I'm telling you, the signs are, with your children, you have to watch them in middle school. Try to nip it in the butt in middle school. You'll see their personalities are starting to form. You know what they like, what they don't like, what they're interested in. This young boy all he thought about was killing. At that age, he probably video games, sneakers, stuff like that, girls. But he was talking about killing people. That's all he wanted to do was kill. And you telling me you didn't pick up on, you said you spent a lot of time there. You was sleeping there all the time. I find it hard to believe. Oh, well, she could say what she want to say, right? I guess. Just sharing my thoughts and opinions. All right, Melanie said, call children's services. Seriously, I would do it in a heartbeat if my grands were showing signs of evil and no one was doing anything. Exactly. This could have all been nipped. But you see, sometimes these parents don't do it because you know why? They enablers. They okay with it. Or deep down in their minds, this is how they are. There's a lot of people there's a lot of wicked things that happen. They might not be bold enough to do it themselves, correct? But they don't mind watching somebody else doing it. Or they don't mind getting somebody else to do it. You ever know some people that do a crime? They won't do it themselves, but they'll get somebody else to do it. And they don't mind it happening to somebody else. I hope I'm making sense. You have a lot of evil people. Just because you don't act on the crime, you don't do it. But you don't know what a person is thinking. That's the point I'm trying to say. So for parents to be okay with this behavior and not doing anything, it tells a lot about them. Yes, I know we love our children. We're supposed to protect our children. We don't want to believe that our child is a monster. But it's something wrong. Either go and get them help or just get rid of them. One or the other. Because all it's going to do is bring you down. Everybody wants to be delusional in this family, right? This is so sad. Resume.
Well, they were very close, especially his little sister. They always played around. He was real close to her, and she still asks us for him all the time, and she still doesn't know what's going on, and she wonders why she can't see her brother. So, but they miss him very much, and I think I'm pretty much the voice for the family, and I know I'm probably the first that y'all seen, and I want to throw darts at me, but I mean, I'm sorry, I don't, we have a good family, very good Christian family, and we're loving people, and we just don't know what happened. I think we're all.
Here we go. We're the good, loving Christian family. We just don't know what happened. Pull out the violins. This is what they always say, right? Just amazing. Yeah, Just feed us anything. Resume.
Trying to wonder what happened.
Now, you've seen the newsreels with Aiden in the car. Again, is that the boy you knew?
No, when I seen that with him in there, it's like he was on something. I could tell. You just know. You're around him all the time, and he just looked like he was high on some kind of drugs. I don't know. It wasn't the same person that I know and see every day.
Well, Grandma, they say sometimes when people drink and do drugs, they do things that they really want to do and how they really feel. So maybe he's in that car. He was expressing how he really feels. He doesn't care. He doesn't care what happened to this girl. This is the clip when he was in that car, in that police car. Anybody see Tristyn? Where are you, Tristyn? You know you killed her. See that smile? Look on the right side. See that smile? This is the smile that he had after he killed Tristyn. Where's it? Where's Tristyn? Anybody know where Tristyn at? Pimple face. Resume.
How has Aiden's arrest affected your family?
Well, we haven't had a family event since.
Relevance to any of the factors.
We're sad all the time. This is something you don't plan for. It happens, and you just don't know why. And I pray every day for both families, and I try to stay strong for my children and my grandchildren, because I'm pretty much been their mother, father, and their grandmother and grandfather. And she always cries. My daughter always cries, and then I cry. And they all.
Oh my gosh, BG, you said something. I totally agree. I wish these killers, especially Donna and Henrik, I might be saying it wrong. I think I know what you're talking about, would have donated their brains to science so we can study what makes them tick. I agree. Because when I was watching that show with that Donna show, and I was like, oh my gosh, so the mother wanted to have his brain examined? You should have did it. But the father fought, no. Yeah, I would do it. You can find out a lot. All right, let's get back to it.
All crying, So I just wish I could have changed. Nothing's going to happen if I could have been there,
And what would you like to say to the court?
I just want to say to the family, I'm so sorry. I wish I could change what happened. And we pray for you every day. I pray for you every day. I pray for my family. And I just hope that you find peace somewhere, and just know that he has a good family. We miss him, and we lost a child too. I know there's not physically here. He's here, and we just miss him, and which just didn't happen. I don't know. I had a letter ready because I knew I wouldn't speak right when I got here, and I could just leave the letters, or I can read the letters, or you want me to try to read the letters?
Go ahead.
I had to plan in my mind what I would say, but when you get up here and you're so overwhelmed, you just don't know what to say, because it's just a very tragic situation, it's just tragic. Do you want me to read these? Okay. This is the family for me. I just wanted to tell you that I'm feeling very deep sadness for the loss of your beautiful daughter, and I know the heartache you must be going through is just terrible. And I will pray for you every day, I promise. And I just hope you find peace, you know, sometime. You know, closure for what happened. Hang on for you, Your Honor. I can't see very good. I'm sorry. Probably with a mess. I just wanted to tell you, I know he has to be punished, and for his actions, and I love him, and his family love him very much too. And I know we're a very large Christian family, and we pray all the time, and I just hope you consider it a little bit, and don't take him out of our lives forever. I know that wife died, and we have to spend time with him sometime before I go.
So you want him to get out so he can kill somebody else? That's all he's going to do. He's going to kill again. They already saying that he's a bully in jail. He's telling people, give me your commissary money. If not, I'll stab you up like I did Tristyn and just watch you die. So this is why you want him out? This is why he shouldn't spend time in jail? This is, Grandma, you're pissing me off. Excuse my language. You really upsetting me. You're getting me angry. I can't stand these enablers. Resume.
I'm not good at this. I'm so sorry. Yeah. I know there's some good in Aiden. I don't know what happened to him that this caused, but I know there's some good in him. And I think if we find that out, what caused him to do this, maybe we'll have more understanding of what happened. I don't know. I can't think. I just can't think. I'm sorry.
Sorry, no further questions, Your Honor.
I'm sorry. So sorry.
Afternoon, I think it is now, Ms. Bywack.
This is a great point Rusty brought up. Mom didn't think twice about hiding him. About helping him cover things up and try to get rid of the evidence. So in my mind, she knew what kind of kid she has. Like it was no surprise to her. Just saying. Great point. And I agree. That's how I look at it. You know it too, Grandma. You know it too. Bunch of hogwash. Resume.
Just so the court understands, you live outside of Jacksonville, but you spend like the weekdays, Monday through Friday-ish, in the home of Crystal Smith and her family?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you've been doing that for a long time, right?
Yes, for years.
You did that when she was with Jason Fucci. You lived with them as a unit, is that right?
Yes.
And then she is now with or married to Michael Akel, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you also visiting and living at that house on Castledale Drive during the week leading up until when this happened in 21?
Yes, I was there.
Okay. Were you even there the week before this happened?
I was there that Thursday.
Okay. And then you kind of go home for the weekends and then come back?
That's why when I had said, I wish I was there, I wish I had stayed and not gone home or something. Maybe I could have.
Yes, ma'am. So you observe this family a lot, correct?
Yes, I do.
And you've never seen any, we didn't talk about Mr. Akel a lot, but even from Mr. Akel as a stepfather, treated his family well, no abuse of Aiden that you ever observed?
I've never seen, I've been in the house a long time and I don't never see that now.
Okay. I believe you said that those kids had it all, right?
Yeah, I thought so, yeah.
And they were spoiled and never went without, is that
They never
fair?
went without.
I think I know who you're talking about. Is that the one that was keeping them in the basement? And chains and stuff? I think I know who you're talking about. I know I have to. I'll look it up. I'll look this monster up. Okay, resume.
You didn't see anybody excessively use alcohol or drugs, is that right?
No, they weren't really drinkers in that home, Just a good thing.
Okay. And I believe you said Jason Fucci never missed a weekend. He prioritized Aiden,
No.
even though they were separated. Is that fair?
Yeah, no, he always was there, pick up the kids.
Those summers that you talked about that he and some of his brothers would come spend with you and maybe attend BBS, was that when he was younger, like 7, 8?
Yeah, she wouldn't let him come when he was too young because she always worried about him getting hurt, So I think he was like 7, 8 years old when she found.
Rusty, we connecting tonight. I was thinking the same thing. Or Grams is just saying all this trying to save her reputation, her path to heaven. Yeah, because she feels good because she knows something she did wrong with her daughter. And the daughter done spread it to the child. And now look what happened. Yeah, that's how it goes. The same thing with Dahmer. Dahmer's father, he's trying to build his book because he couldn't face because he knew he had something to do with it. Having his son out here killing animals, roadkill, whatever that crap was he was doing. And that's probably why the other brother, he probably was calling the other brother, oh, you little sissy. You cry, get all squirmy because we killing roadkill. Yeah, the little boy, the younger brother was like, this is crazy. I don't want to do this. All right, let's get back to it. Did anybody watch a drama on, what was it, Netflix? Anybody watch a drama? Put in the chat. Let me know. Yes or no. Resume.
Girl's okay. He'll be all right. You know, he's old enough to not get hurt and not to worry so much. So I was allowed to take him.
Okay. But that stopped in the teenage years, right? VBS is something for like elementary age.
No,
to junior
all the
high.
way up to the teenagers.
All the way through
Still
teenagers.
goes on, yeah.
How many summers did he do that with you?
Lots. I don't know again. Well, I mean, it's once a year, so you have to think it was like 7 or 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I mean, all the way up till he was 14. So
Okay.
You're
And you
right,
talked about some mental
Melanie.
illness in your
Way
son and your
different from
ex. Is that
Sword
right?
Rat's grandmother.
Right.
Way different.
But you're not aware of any or observe anything in Crystal Smith, your daughter, right?
no, she's a good girl.
Okay. And you never observed anything living with Aiden that caused you concerns?
No.
Never observed, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No.
Okay. You never observed him like responding to stimuli, hearing voices, anything that you needed to report?
Well, all the kids talked about the house being haunted. I think I told you that, and I thought myself I would hear things in this house whenever people were gone. It would just be me and my older grandsons. And the boys would always say that there was somebody in this house, you know.
But outside of thinking their house was haunted, you didn't see anything that you felt was a mental health concern, Mr. Fucci would need to be Baker acted, anything like that?
Oh, no.
All right. And Mr. Fucci never reported to you, you guys were close, right?
Yeah, we were real close.
Yeah, he never came to you and said, Mr. Agle is doing this, my dad is hurting me, nothing like that?
Well, I mean, he would get in trouble. He would just say, I'm going to get in trouble with my dad, But I mean, that's any kid. You're going to get in trouble by your parents.
Right, but nothing about disciplining him if he were to get in trouble at school or something like that?
No. If they got punished, they would pretty much just go to the room, get their phone taken away or whatever. Wouldn't be able to go down to the lunch court, food court that they have down there.
Okay, all right, I appreciate it. Nothing further, Judge.
All right, ma'am, thank you very much. You're free to go. We'll remain if you'd like. All right, it is now 12:15. Let's go ahead and break for lunch. We will come back at 1:30, so I'll give her.
You know what? There is another clip I can show. Since I have y'all here, let me see. Listen to the music. Give me a second to see if I can find this other clip. I think it's another one. Enjoy the music while you wait. Hold a second. Let me know if y'all want to watch the clip with the prosecution. When the prosecution, I guess gives her closing argument. If you want to hear that, let me know. I can show that one. Give me a yes, give me a no, maybe so, something. Let me know.
If you're on your feet.
Anybody gonna say anything? Yes, no, show it or what? Let me know, let me know. All right, Melanie said something here. The Baker Act, Florida laws that allows families to commit children of certain for mental evaluation. Grandma did a Baker's Act on one of her sons at 14. Oh, interesting. Okay. Nobody say anything? Should I show the other clip or not? You know what to do. Okay, I won't show the clip. Nobody saying nothing. All right, so, well, that's just wrapping up everything. That was just it. I'll just show those clips there. The other clip I was just going to show you was just the prosecution and basically, telling the judge, lock this monster up and never let him back out because he's dangerous to society. And which I agree. He should never be able to get back out again. He's done. No more. Melly said show it. Okay, you know what? Yeah, I'll show the clip. Hold a second. Where is it? Okay. Alright, this will be the last clip. I'm going to fast forward. It's going to be on 1.5 speed. 1.5 speed. Yeah, 1.5 speed. Let me get to it. All right, let's hear what the prosecution have to say. Let's get it, ladies and gentlemen. The people that's coming, make sure you hit the like. Let's get it.
Your decision before sentencing Aiden Fucci in this matter. When you begin with the Florida Rule of Criminal Procedure 3.781C on the sentencing of juveniles in this structure, the rule states that the court shall make, when you come back and pronounce sentence, you shall make specific findings on the record, that all relevant factors have been reviewed and considered by the court prior to posing a sentence of life or...
I know it's kind of late, so if anybody wants to leave, I understand. Thank you for coming, hitting the like. I'm just going to show this last clip here. All right, resume.
A term of years equal to life. And then you are to make some findings in writing and just as to whether the defendant is eligible for a sentence review hearing under Florida statutes. And that's based on whether the defendant killed, attempted to kill the victim. So you have to make a specific finding of fact that he killed Tristyn Bailey and intended to kill her in this case, which would result in his sentencing review after 25 years. And so that has to be writing. Subsection 2 doesn't apply to him because he doesn't have a prior offense enumerated. And 3 just says that a copy of your written findings about his review hearing judge have to be made part of the packet that goes to DOC with him ultimately. And
let me just back you up.
Yep.
Go back to that slide. As far as the court's determination that he killed, attempted to kill, or intended to kill the victim, is that based on the evidence that you're asking the court to make a factual determination from the evidence, or is it also from his guilty plea, and was that stipulated to prior to this hearing?
That wasn't stipulated to me. He did enter a guilty plea. So I obviously think we're in a much different posture than obviously a jury would be making a pure factual finding. But no, you should make your own factual finding. It's why we presented the evidence we did for the record here now for you to make that finding and for any future court. So you do have to make that specific finding.
All right.
And we believe we provided the evidence for you to do that. And then obviously, Judge, the factors. We've heard this statute number a lot, obviously, in the last couple of days, and we've all been listening and hearing about the factors. And what I want to do now is talk about those and the evidence related to each factor and why that evidence means that the court should, in this case with Aiden Fucci, impose a life sentence. That based on all of these factors, even after reviewing everything, the appropriate sentence for Aiden Fucci is still life. And so when you review these factors, it starts with A, and right at the top, the nature and circumstances of the offense. You know, everybody knows the saying.
Because the world rejected
are worth 1,000 words, and that's very true. Even without the pictures, the testimony of Dr. Fulcher painted a picture of this crime alone. But I know you will never forget those photos. What those photos factually showed, and through Dr. Fulcher's testimony, is that there were 114 stab wounds. 49 of those were defensive. And then you see, and you've heard the other numbers here, 35 or more to her head and neck, 29 throughout the rest of her body. When considering the nature of the crime, what was also important from Dr. Fulcher was to know and learn that she was conscious and alive for this attack. We know that obviously from at least 49 defensive wounds. She was fighting. Another important factor about this particular murder is the high degree of force that was used and would have been necessary to cause these wounds, the amount of wounds. And specifically, Dr. Fulcher talked about there's a high degree of force that's needed to penetrate someone's head, make slice marks in her skull, chip out bone in her skull, and ultimately break off the tip of a knife. That takes a high amount of force that this defendant used to carry out this crime, and then the pure number of wounds, Your Honor. And 6 fatal wounds. And he described that death and what happens when the lungs collapse, and he also went further when you had to view the photos and some of the internal organ photos. There's a purpose for those. He described to you that those injuries you saw in her lungs and the hemorrhage, medical term for the blood pooling, the hemorrhage around those, what that tells him is she was conscious, or excuse me, she was alive, and there was a heartbeat throughout that process. And we know she was conscious because she's defending herself. So none of these wounds were post-mortem. That's the nature of the physical crime. The circumstances are even more horrific. And that includes several things, but most importantly, the circumstances that led up to this crime was the defendant's verbalization that he wanted to do it. If he was going to kill somebody, he would plan it. It's what he told Sophie, his most closest friend and girlfriend in his life. He said it would be at night, he would drag somebody in the woods, and he would stab them. And he said it would be soon, within a month. He said he would act innocent, keep killing, and then run away. The nature and circumstances, just factually alone, is horrific and some of the worst that this court could probably imagine. And then you put it in context through this group of juveniles that you're supposed to consider, juveniles that commit murder. And who helps you do that? Dr. Gregory Pritchard. And so he is called in to talk about the nature and circumstances of this offense and how does that compare? Because that's what the court's ultimately being asked to do. You're given discretion now. You can't just hand a life sentence out for first-degree murder to a juvenile. You can't. You're asked to weigh 8 factors about the juvenile and to weigh the offense. And so that's the purpose in this type of testimony. And so Dr. Pritchard told this court, that this act was extremely unique and extremely violent for anyone to commit, let alone a juvenile. And I think Dr. Bloomfield today eventually admitted that. Yes, I think anyone would say this is unique. And of course they would. But it's also statistically unique. It's not just a layperson's view at uniqueness, but Dr. Pritchard, with his vast experience in seeing these types of crimes, and that's backed up by the statistics. The U.S. Department of Justice tracks this information, and only 7% of all the juveniles in the U.S. in crime statistics that were arrested were even arrested for violent offenses, and only 1% of those were homicide. So homicide alone with juveniles is unique. And then you look at the type and nature and circumstance of this crime, which is obviously extremely unique and different to other murders that could be committed and are often committed by juveniles. He described it as an outlier and unusual. And when you read Miller v. Alabama and some of the cases that come after that, Horsley v. State with the Florida Supreme Court, they talk about those, that there will be juveniles that will deserve a life sentence. There will be those cases, which is why it's on the table, Your Honor. There will be outliers. There will be incorrigible juveniles that deserve the worst punishment, and Aiden Fucci is one of those. The second factor, Your Honor, is the effect of the crime on the victim's family and on the community. I know it's been made clear to you from yesterday to today, there's no way to measure the effect. Tristyn Bailey was a daughter, a granddaughter, a sister, a friend. She was a great friend, it sounds like, to many peers. A good student, a good athlete, a leader on her cheer team. And it sounds like she was a positive influence in her school community, would have been in the world. Someone referred to her and said that, we want to go on and be the light. That's what Tristyn was. And so this family has lost something immeasurable. And it's not only the family, and the statutes tell you, you can consider the loss on the community, and you've heard a lot about that, and I'm sure you will and continue to read the letters that came in from local community and beyond, people that were touched by this case one way or the other because they knew the family, knew Tristyn, or knew someone affected. And there was over 100 letters submitted outside of this family. This has been an extremely unique case that's touched this community in a unique way. You heard from Mr. Bailey today about the number of vigils, memorials, the support shown through, ribbons and everything the community did, certain businesses that opened up their place for his family and showed support in various ways. This has obviously had an enormous effect on the family and the community, and I think it really goes without saying, and all the evidence is clear on that. One of the other factors that we spent a lot of time on, Judge, along with another one that'll come later, and these really get to who Aiden Fucci is and who was he, trying to understand the juvenile and trying to understand why he committed this particular crime, what led up to, or just really, was this an impetuous crime, or is this different?
What's inside this box, you may wonder? Well, your new
Again, under that framework of all juveniles are immature, a lot of them will take risks. They will make bad decisions, certainly. But is this murder just that? Or is it something different? And so this is a factor that helps you with that, Your Honor. And we've already gone over some of this already. We know he was young. You've heard the testimony about maturity as compared to his peer group. I want to comment on intellectual capacity. You heard a lot about that through both psychologists in this case. And I just wanted to point out, and I think Dr. Bloomfield finally conceded this point earlier when he just testified, that there's no evidence of a cognitive deficit, AKA an intellectual disability, in Aiden Fucci. You heard the testimony through Dr. Pritchard of how the teachers described it. It was more academic and a lack of motivation. That's completely two different things. And Dr. Bloomfield even had to agree to that point today. He was designated SLD, which means his performance was not up to par where they would expect him to be, and that was based on a learning disability. His last IEP was done right before this homicide. He was on track to earn a standard diploma. And then you heard about the behavioral issues in school, which starts to go to this mental and emotional health at the time. And again, we're comparing him to like peers. We're comparing him to juveniles in general. And this juvenile had overall 22 disciplinary referrals. Testimony in the records showed several suspensions. And again, Dr. Pritchard has information and relies on general information about juveniles when saying this is an outlier. Only 5 to 7% of students, K through 12, in their whole life get suspended one time. And this is obviously a teen who had continuous disciplinary problems, behavioral problems, some of them violent, threatening to throw another student out a window, fighting, disrespect. Dean Wetchen said he definitely didn't like to be disrespected, and he had a huge problem with authority. So that is who Aiden Fucci is at this time. And again, Dean Wetchen commented he's more mature than his peers. He's been in the education system for 35 years. He's clearly comparing him to his peer group. And he said he's mature and he had his problems, but he knew what to do. And what's the point of bringing that up? All of these teachers were asked, and I believe I went through this with Dr. Pritchard, you had all of his 8th grade teachers essentially and the dean interviewed, and they all stated he knew the difference between right and wrong. He knew how to react. Yes, he had a learning disability. We're not talking about that. But he knew and he understood consequences, and he was able to make changes. It's just whether he wanted to or not. And that's the general sense that the teachers and then Dean Wetchen gives about Aiden Fucci. And then you have Mr. Barton from DJJ, obviously another person with experience in talking with juveniles. And he, again, said he's more mature than others, that Aiden Fucci never complained to him about any abuse in his life or abuse at the jail or being beat up by inmates, guards, or otherwise. And he never said that he was suicidal while he was in the jail. And this was somebody who was visiting him regularly to check on him. And it was the same type of well-being check every time. This would have been someone Aiden Fucci could have talked to had that been something of concern with him. And then the statutes ask you to look at his family and his background. And so, Dr. Pritchard commented it's somewhat unremarkable and normal. Well, he's looking at that from, his world and criminal persons that end up in the criminal justice system. And he said it's, quote, normal from the perspective of we often see defendants and juveniles specifically that are committed awful crimes and they suffer from poverty and extreme abuse in their life, sexual abuse, neglect, and all of these things. And that's just absent here. It's absent here. And that is consistent with all the family accounts. The grandmother, Miss Spywak, she describes him growing up in a loving home, mainly with his mom. His parents were separated, and she said Jason Fucci never missed a weekend with his child. Did he discipline him? Sure. Had Aiden told her about that? Oh, Dad's going to discipline me more than Mom. And he had verbalized a few things to Sophie Bauman about that, but outside of that, outside of being disciplined when he misbehaved, there's no reports, no evidence of any sort of unusual, neglectful, abuseful home. He had it all, according to Grandma. He was spoiled. And the brothers felt the same way about being raised in that house. And so then we get to immaturity, impetuosity, which has obviously been a big thing that we've been talking about the last couple days, and failure to appreciate risks and consequences. Dr. Pritchard doesn't attribute immaturity to the commission of this offense, and that's what's important. It's a fact that Aiden Fucci was 14. It's a fact that he's a juvenile and less mature than adults. What matters was the crime, was the act a result of an immature, impetuous decision or behavior? And no, the evidence is overwhelming that it is just not in this case. And Dr. Pritchard gave good real life examples where if he was asked as a psychologist, he would have to say, well, yeah, this is different. And he gave a good example of a juvenile who goes into a store to rob it, carrying a gun to scare people, but never intended to kill. And that clerk does something, makes a movement, does something that causes that juvenile to react in that moment and make an impetuous, stupid, horrible decision and kill that clerk, run out of the store. That is a very, very different crime than what we have here. And I'm sure we can all think of similar acts like that by juveniles. Juvenile makes out with their friends and people are drinking and they're partying and a juvenile gets on the hood of a car and someone drives them around, that juvenile falls off and gets killed. I mean, these are the examples of risky behavior, impetuous behavior, juveniles not thinking of consequences. And there's dozens more examples like that that can be contrasted with the homicide of Tristyn Bailey and what Aiden Fucci did in this case. Dr. Pritchard said there is evidence in this case that although there's the general understanding about these juvenile brain developments, that he can generally understand risk. He's not one of those people who just can't grasp it, that they don't understand. There's a difference. We know it because he told Sophie Bauman.
So pop-on veneers popped up on my social media.
That when he killed, he would run away, cover it up, and keep killing. We know from other life events in school that when he got in trouble or when he felt he was about to get in trouble in a classroom, he would ask to excuse himself and go to Dean Wetchen. He knew if I do this, I'm going to get in trouble, I'm going to leave, and I'm going to go vent to Dean Wetchen. So Aiden Fucci understands consequences. Generally, it's clear as well as any other juvenile. And then after the murder, Dr. Pritchard attributed his actions into whether this was an impetuous offense by talking about what he did after. No, he knew what consequences were because he immediately hid a murder weapon so he wouldn't be caught with it on his way home. He went right up into his room as evidenced by that video. He hid the shoes and white shirt behind his dresser. He immediately went in a shower, spent a decent amount of time in that shower washing evidence off his body. He snuck through that house quietly so nobody would find him or hear him coming home. He did things. He knew he had just done something wrong and he was trying to cover it up. And then he lies. This isn't impetuous behavior. Your Honor, we know that he was the sole participant in this homicide. It's overwhelming, but it explains why we put forth some of the evidence we did, obviously the premeditated statements. The other reason we, large in part, introduced all the video surveillance was just to prove that he is the only person who was walking with Tristyn Bailey. He's the only person. He did this alone, and then we know all of the evidence related to this homicide ended up in his bedroom and in a pond nearby. There's no evidence of any pressure on Mr. Fucci to commit this crime by anybody else. One of the other factors, Judge, is criminal history. He has none. And then the effect of his youth on his judgment. And some of these factors, Judge, overlap, but essentially Dr. Pritchard and Dr. Bloomfield agree. Youth affects judgment. Yes, we talked about that. That's the lens you're to look at him through. But what did Dr. Pritchard say about Aiden Fucci? He has personal dynamics, personal features that make him unusual and dangerous. Dr. Pritchard testified that he has clinical concerns that something is seriously wrong with Aiden Fucci, and in a bad way. It goes beyond poor judgment. It goes beyond youth with this individual and this crime. Obviously, that's why he made such a point of the unusual preoccupation with death and killing. That's not youth and poor decision making. Again, it's a preoccupation with death, and unfortunately here he carried that out. And then finally, Judge, the possibility of rehabilitating the defendant. And this is a factor to consider in sentencing him, and when you review some of the case law on these post-milligram sentencings, this is a factor. It's not as weighty as it is in resentencing juveniles 25 years from now. Things sort of flip when they get reviewed. A lot of emphasis is put on rehabilitation, but it is something for the court to consider now based on the information we would have to this point. And so that's all the doctors could speak to. Dr. Pritchard told you that he believes there's a poor prognosis based on what he's seen thus far. That's all he can say. And he told you why he felt that. He told you, that behavior right after the homicide, his actions in the back of the patrol car and laughing, just the callous behavior that he exhibited when he was the only person in the world who knew where Tristyn was and that she was laying in the woods, dead from his actions. His demeanor in the interview room, just showing he's calm. He's asking his parents, what does this have to do with me? Why am I here? Not even looking, told his parents he wasn't.
I heard that crystal clear when he was with his parents. He said, what does this have to do with me? He didn't care. And he still doesn't care. 2 years later, he still don't care. He sits in the courtroom, just rocking his chair back and forth. He's just like, oh my gosh, can I go back to my cell? This is so boring. I already said I was guilty. So why we have to go through all of this? Resume. All right, this clip is almost done, ladies and gentlemen. Resume.
Scared. Not really. And then, of course, his behavior in the jail and all of the extortion and threats to guards and other inmates. So not just the fact that a juvenile inmate gets in a fight. Of course, those things happen. But what Dr. Pritchard found unique and concerning about Aiden Fucci is that he would brag about his crime, the specifics of his crime, in a way to boast him up and get what he wanted. So I don't shoot my victims. I stab them face to face. Using his actual crime to manipulate, fight, scare others, exert dominance is different than just juveniles getting in fights in jail. And so he's done nothing to this point to exhibit any sort of desire, care, remorse to change anything about his future behavior. And so, Your Honor, just going back to what we were talking about in the beginning, the framework, and this is just the statute number, 775.082 1B1 is where it states that when you make the finding that Aiden Fucci was the one who actually killed and intended to kill Tristyn Bailey, he will be entitled to a review hearing in accordance to the statute. And that statute says that he is entitled to review after 25 years. So we've already gone over some of this stuff. You have to make it in writing. He admitted it again, and all of the evidence we've supported and put forward in this case supports that. Your Honor, the decision that you have before you is one of discretion. And like I said earlier, if Aiden Fucci was an adult, there would be no discretion, there would be no conversation. It wouldn't have mattered if he walked in a store and shot a clerk once, or he did what he did to Tristyn Bailey. It would be a life sentence. But because of everything that's happened through our courts and the medically and psychologically accepted science, that gives you discretion in the state.
If you're more into short nails, these press-ons in the style
laid out those factors, and it now requires you to look. It's stating a fact, and we're legally accepting a fact, and you have to look through that lens and make an individual decision about Aiden Fucci. And so that's why the look that Dr. Pritchard did in this case, not just coming to educate you about the juvenile brain, we understand that, but to actually dig in and look at the evidence and try to apply it, and then compare it across his peer group and draw differences and come to a conclusion. Is he unique? Is he an outlier? And does he deserve the harshest punishment out there. And that's why they tell you to do an individualized sentencing. And all the evidence that we brought you, and especially through Dr. Pritchard, should help you do that. And all that evidence has really shown us who Aiden Fucci is. And we all know that juveniles confide more, it's common sense, juveniles confide more in their friends and their peers than they're going to confide in parents and teachers sometimes, and he did that. Aiden Fucci told his closest friends and his girlfriend his most innermost thoughts and desires. And he told them that real life violence was his interest. He wanted to know. He wanted to kill someone and do it by stabbing them, which is clearly different than shooting someone, and it causes much suffering. He knew how, and he knew when he was going to do it. How he was going to do it is he was going to take someone in the woods, just like that, and he was going to kill him. He was going to stab him until they died. That's what we knew. We knew he knew how. We knew that he knew when, that it would be soon. And unfortunately, Judge, his win ended up being May 9th of 2021. And his who ended up being Tristyn Bailey. And for all of the evidence that we presented in this case, all of the factors, and showing you how those factors show you who Aiden Fucci is, the uniqueness of this crime, all of that shows you that this particular juvenile should be sentenced to the harshest penalty possible, which is life in prison, and he will be entitled to a 25-year review. And he will have a chance to attempt to rehabilitate himself and prove himself at that time. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. That's all the clips from today. I guess it's going to be tomorrow or something like that. We'll see what happens to sentencing. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you for hanging in here. I know this was a long one. Thank you for hanging in here. Thank you for engaging. Thank you for hitting the like button. This is so sad. So sad. This boy is a complete monster. And like I said, over the weekend, probably Sunday, I want to get into what the psychologist had to say about this monster. Yep. He been wanting to kill for a minute, and this wasn't going to be the last time he was going to do it again. He was going to do it again. So everybody have themselves a blessed night and a great one, and stay tuned for some more of Donna Just Being Real. And if you need to reach me, look in the description and you'll find the email. Good night.